YouTube. Hi, my name is Mark, and this is Nixon Motorsports. Hey, this channel is all about motorsports, from racing to exotic cars and even simulators. So today's video, it's going to be a big change to my personal simulator. I'll bring you along. I'm going to do a big chassis change, a modification, monitor mounts and so on. I'm going to do that because I just want to have a more versatile simulator. Formula style and GT upright seating positions are kind of a nice to have. So, you know, with that, it'll be kind of fun. So I'll show you the whole project, but this will be the TRX Racer. The Alpine TRX is the chassis. It's new, it just came out. Looks quite nice. Anyway, let's get into it and see what this is all about, all right? So with that, let's get inside and show you what's in store. All right, so let me walk around and show you the current simulator that I have. Again, this is my personal simulator that I use. I've had this for a handful of years. It's a mess, the wiring and such. Never really got around to that, to clean that up. So this project today will actually do that. So I'm going to tear this thing apart. This lay-down style chassis, I will remove. I'll sell that. I'll keep a handful of things on this. I'll be reusing my monitors. I'll keep my DD2 base for my steering, force feedback steering, if I can talk. The pedals will be changed, but this entire seating chassis itself will be swapped out. And as I mentioned, you know, I want a more versatile chassis, one that I can both lay down, you know, Formula style or more upright seating. This is purely a lay down only. And the other part of it, this chassis actually, it actually has a lot of wobble. It's not that solid, and you know, that's not appropriate, right? So let me pan down here and show you what I have. I'm not going to do an unboxing, that type of thing. All of this stuff, all of these parts, here's the pedals that I got and such. All of this has to come out and go through the assembly, so it should be fun. First thing up though, I'm going to have to disassemble, pull this thing apart, make some room, and this is where I'll put my new simulator, right? So with that, let me start pulling some of these pieces out just to take a look at it, and of course I'll bring you along on the way. Okay, so I've unboxed the parts for the chassis, right? So you can see the TRX Racer, pretty cool. Again, this here's the seat for it, this Alpine F1 team. Looks pretty cool. I like the blue. The hardware, I can say, you know, so far, you know, it actually looks pretty stout, pretty sturdy. So here's the front assembly for the pedals, all adjustable, which is great. This is for the seat itself, with all the adjustability. Kind of cool. I think this is for shifter linkage over here. I'm not sure. Again, here are the pedals that I'm going to put in. At least for the moment, I'll probably swap out at least the brake and go to the new force feedback active pedal. If you guys have heard of that, I'll probably do that as well. But pretty cool, right? So I haven't taken my current sim apart yet. This looks actually pretty straightforward and simple. I think I'll go ahead and just assemble the base chassis here, get it out of the way. I do have a new 4 monitor mount system. That's what these are below, a couple of the brackets over here. So I'll be replacing that as well. So this thing's going to change quite a bit, but let me put the chassis together and without moving it in here into the sim yet, so we can just see what that looks like. Okay, so I have the base chassis assembled. You can see here it actually goes together quite easy. I started looking at the instructions and then just decided, you know what, this is pretty stupid easy. So here's the adjustable bracket for the seat. You can see here it actually can be adjusted, you know, up and down, so changing the seating position, which is nice. I like as well the pedals have a both height and angle that's adjustable, so that's actually quite nice. And the yet to be mounted, the steering wheel itself and such it's on a slide here, which is cool, which means you can adjust the forward and backwards position of the steering wheel. Pretty cool. So first impressions, and I'm not really doing a review here, but you know, first impressions, it's actually made pretty high quality. If I sit here and pick this thing up, you know, yeah, it's pretty stout. It's still portable, but fully assembled. I'll have to weigh it and see what it is, but you need two people to move it around. But look, I wanted something that was nice and sturdy, and this appears to be able to handle that job, right? So let me finish getting the seat mounted, get the brackets in place here for the DD2 steering wheel assembly, get the pedals on, that kind of thing. Kind of fun. So let me keep going. I'll come back again. Okay, an update. So here's the chassis so far. A couple little things I want to call out. First, I needed the direct drives for the DD2 wheel adapter. The kit was missing that, so I'm waiting for that. I've also ordered a sequential shifter since I had the bracket, so nothing's here yet. That's why that's there. I have the pedals just sitting basically on this tray. Not sure how I'm going to finish those up yet. I'm going to try these two initially, see how I like the feel of these pedals. But the adjustability of the pedal platform is great, as the seat is. Now, the seat is not on slides. I could do that if I wanted to. I'm not going to, because you have slides for your steering wheel, so forward and backwards, and you have a slide for your pedal assembly. That's really all you need. Working on the monitor stand, so I'm using a freestanding monitor stand, and it's missing, unfortunately, one small little part, so I'm not going to be able to finish assembling that at this point. But I just wanted to show you what it's looking like. I will say the quality, the build quality is actually pretty good. I mean, this thing is stout. It is far more sturdy, you know, rigid than the previous chassis that I was using. So anyway, that's the update. Once I get a couple more parts, I'll get back to the monitor stands, I'll get back to the chassis and the steering wheel base mount and bring you back, okay? So as I'm looking at my original steering wheel, right? Not a big deal. I mean, these are a quick connector on the DD2 base, and as you can tell when you look in here, there's pins inside there, right? So I'm not going to be using some of the I/O that comes with the base itself, but you do need to be able to actually take care of the full force feature, right? So if you don't connect anything on that, unfortunately, it will stay on low force. Now, Fanatic makes these wheel hub adapters, so this thing actually would slide on, and electronics here in the base would take care of the high force problem. The reason I don't want to use that, it just puts the wheel out way too far. So I found this thing, and I'll put the link at the bottom of the video. This is an adapter for the DD2 base here, and you can see there's, well, sort of, if I can get to it, there's small circuit board here in the bottom. It takes care of the high force activation for the wheel. So this actually replaces this coupler here, and this gives me the standard 70 mil bolt pattern that I can actually bolt up the new steering wheel, right? So kind of cool. Let me try to get that other piece out and get this thing mounted in there, and I'll bring you back. Okay, as I'm swapping this out, so this is the original hub for the DD2 wheel, right? So you loosen up this collar here, and this just slides out. It's super easy. And then you have these two pins here that you connect with. So that's for this wheel. So that's actually off. So I have this new one on here. I have it clamped down. Now this is supposed to take care of the high torque setting automatically, right? So let's go ahead and power this thing on. Okay, you can see it kind of booting up. Standard thing where this thing rotates around. Okay, so here it says torque key inserted, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, there we go. So I get it over there to the OK, till that flashes. So you just turn your steering wheel to get the OK to acknowledge that and let it sit there, and then it automatically switches over and it's in the high torque. So that's pretty cool. So now what I'm trying to do is figure out how I want to mount this new SimCube wheel, right? Isn't that cool? Now this thing's totally programmable, very nice. You know, I'm not here to do a review on this thing, right? But look at this. I mean, like the clutch paddles, you can change the bite on the hand clutch, which is very nice. So this is the wheel that I'll be putting on the DD2 base. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, I don't want to put a big, long, huge adapter, which is an option, but that pushes it way out there. I think what I'm going to do, I have this small little adapter. I'm going to see if I can mount this to the base of the wheel here and see what the distance is like. So let me play with this. I'll bring you right back. Yeah, I think I like that. So that's what the SimCube wheel is going to look like with the DD2 base. I like that with this small little, I think it's about 10 mil little adapter. It allows me to bolt it up from the back side of this flange, the hub, to the wheel itself. Now this is not a disconnect piece, right? This will be a more of a permanent mount, but I think I like that. All right, so here is an update where I'm at currently on the Sim. It's starting to take shape, right? I have a handful of things to do yet. Let me talk about some of that. First of all, my impressions so far on this TRX chassis is actually quite good. This thing is very sturdy, very nice, a lot of adjustment capability. So as you can see with the seat, hopefully you can see this, you can actually recline this seat, have it upright like it's showing here, or simply loosen these screws, turn this guy, and then flip the seat down so it's in more of a reclining position. Pretty cool. I like the monitor mounts. They're nice and solid, a lot of adjustability. You can put quite large monitors on here, it seems, with not an issue. The pedal assembly has a lot of adjustment, both up, forward, and backwards. So does the steering mount apparatus. Pretty cool. It seems to be pretty solid. It doesn't seem to be moving much at all, but you can actually raise it up, you can tilt it, and then you have slides forward and backwards. Pretty trick. If you've noticed, I have here my fans on both sides. Those are actually speed-based, so the faster you go on track, the more airflow you actually get over that, so it's a nice little sensation. Come around here to the back so you can see what I've done. Still somewhat of a mess. Here's my my fans themselves. Of course, you can see the computer over here. So I've updated pedals. I went with the 2-pedal setup. I like these. They feel quite good. Now, one thing I'm going to do here on the base plate, and they make a couple other modifications you can use. I'm going to do my own thing. So I'm going to put a piece of 1/4-inch aluminum on this base plate itself. And the reason I'm going to do that is there's not a lot of material here. This thing under a lot of braking pressure, I've seen that it wants to move a touch. So I'm going to take these off and put that aluminum plate down with my own heel structure. So, you know, it's just a piece of, here you can see it, a piece of 1/4-inch plate itself, right? So I think that will help on the pedal assembly and so on. Now I added a sequential shifter. I use paddles for the most part, but I thought, what the heck, I'll add that to it. Yeah, and actually, one last point here. So the Cube controls, these pedals actually do seem quite nice. I'm not sure if anyone watching this video has tried these or not. They have a little adjustment and different pucks for pressure on the brake pedal. You know, for me, brake pedal is always the one that's really difficult from a feel point of view, but they do feel quite nice. Now I will see how they work. I've noticed you know, SimCube has their new active pedals out, which seem extremely trick. So we'll see how these feel. If I'm motivated, I might replace those with the active pedals from SimCube, possibly. Now another change I'm going to do, now I have this SimCube Formula steering wheel, if you guys have seen these. It's actually pretty trick. Nothing major from an issue point of view on that. I'm going to swap that out though, and this is the adapter that I've used for the DD2 steering base itself. I'm going to swap out though, I have a Cube Controls CSX3 steering wheel coming. I'm more than likely going to use the Cube Controls there as well. It's a little smaller, and from all the reviews I've seen on it, it's actually quite good. Now I'm going to swap out this base. I have a new Q base here from Cube Controls as well, and I'm going to see if I like this versus what I have on there. It's a disconnect, that kind of thing. So a couple little changes come in on that end of it, but this gives you kind of an idea of where I'm at. It looks quite nice. So this TRX, this Alpine F1 team new chassis is a pretty big and substantial upgrade. I really like it. I'm glad I'm doing this. You know, a sim for drivers, right? Come on, this is a tool I think probably most of you watching this channel agree with. You know, from a driver point of view, it's a pretty valuable tool to have. I've had many over the years. I really have enjoyed the Formula simulators that actually I used to produce many years back. But you know, this is much more practical, and what I like about this is the adjustability and to go from GT style upright to kind of a recline Formula position with all the adjustability in it. You know, to get your seating position right is important. You know, so I talked about the steering wheel itself. Now this is a phonetic base, and you saw in the earlier video where I had to put an emulator on the base on the shaft, so force feedback would actually work, right? So that actually works quite well, by the way. And with that, I can bolt up any steering wheel that I want. Now the SimCube, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I really like this one. This is the wheel that I'm going to use quite a bit. I did pick up a CSX steering wheel, so here's what that looks like. I used it for a little bit. It's a little smaller, you know, as you can kind of see roughly here in space, or the two of them side by side. What I don't like about the cube control wheel, the grips themselves, they're very plasticky. Yeah, I didn't really like it. That's all. So let me talk though about a couple things on this chassis. If you do get a TRX chassis, a couple things that you might want to consider. Not a big deal, but the first one is the pedal assembly. So what I did is I mounted, as you can see here, a 1/4-inch piece of aluminum flat plate to the pedal assembly. And I did that because I was seeing some flex on the base plate itself, and you could put another pedal adapter assembly on top of that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to put my own heel stop and move my heel stop around, but I wanted my pedals to be firm and very, very little movement. So that made a big difference on the pedal assembly. So that's a good idea. The seat is fine. It does have a little bit of movement because, you know, again, with all this adjustability, you're not going to have it extremely solid, but it actually does a pretty good job. You know, and my only part that I do not like on this chassis is the steering mount itself. I like the concept where it's on a slide, it has adjustment, you know, angle of incline, height and such. It's a kind of a pain in the rear end, especially for such a big heavy wheelbase like this DD2. It does work, I just not a big fan of it. If you need to move the chassis, disassemble for transport, whatever, pretty simple. You can actually take these couplers off, and then these bolts here, you have a tube that slides in connecting these two halves together. So it allows you to actually move this thing with somewhat ease, which is a nice thing to do as well, okay? Okay, I have this simulator put together. Let me show you this and just highlight a few pieces or parts that I think are pretty cool. First, my impression overall on the TRX chassis is actually quite good. Now, again, this is the Alpine F1 team. It's their new 2023 livery, which is kind of cool. So the reason I converted to this chassis was just to kind of repeat earlier in the video, right? The reason I converted this chassis, the previous one I had a lot of flex. You know, from the steering system itself, and the other one, you could actually move the whole thing, which was not very cool. This thing is actually quite rigid, even with all of its adjustability. So I really like that. But let me highlight a couple things. You know, the pedal assembly, you can push it forward and backwards. You can adjust kind of the angle of that pretty freely. The seat has both rear and front adjustments, so, and forward and backwards, of course. So you can recline this seat, you know, pretty much, you know, whatever extreme that you need. So that's way cool. Now the steering mount itself, you know, I honestly thought it was a little irritating, to be candid, but it does work well. It is on a slide here, so you can move the wheel forward and backwards, and with your adjustments here on the base, you can actually pull it up, adjust the angle, that kind of thing. So pretty cool. Overall though, I would say I'm a fan of this chassis. It's nice and compact and seems to be quite good. Now, just kind of a highlight on some of the pieces that I do from a simulator. I use 4 screens, as you see. The bottom 3 for the triple setup. I use the BenQ. These are a curved screen, if you can see. So it makes for a really nice radius for the triple setup. And then I use the top screen just for like lap time and some stats if I'm racing, that type of thing. Pretty common setup there. The other thing I do, I like to use wind, so I use a fan. I have two sides here through plumbing, so as speed increases in the race car, the wind over your face and such will increase. I find that pretty cool. I do like shakers, so I do set up, I have a shaker here in the rear lower part of the seat, and then let me go to the front here if you can see this. I'm not sure if you can, but well, anyway, underneath the pedals, I have another shaker, which is way cool. So I do that, and I use SimHub, by the way, which is a great piece of software. And SimHub allows you to control your steering wheel and your displays. It allows you to control your shakers, your wind speeds, that type of thing. Way cool. So if you haven't used that, you might want to check it out. You can see here, I'm using the newer SimCube steering wheel, and I actually like the feel of this. Now it is a little bigger of a steering wheel, but the grips and the build quality of this is actually quite nice. I put a small little sequential shifter in here. I don't use that very much, but I do have it here should I want to. And I use the Logitech sound system. Seems to work well. Have a nice sub here on the floor. And just from a computer point of view, you can kind of see this over here. You know, it's a pretty badass, pretty high-end computer, right? 64 gig memory, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the basic sim setup itself. Well, that's it for this video. I think this upgrade to this new TRX chassis, I think it was a good choice. I've been in it now a handful of times. I've driven it on various different tracks. Yeah, I really like it. It was a worthwhile improvement and investment, so you might want to check into that. That's all I got for this video. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate the comments, and stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't, of course. I have a lot of material coming out for the new drivers out there, or people that are interested in getting into racing. Make sure you watch for a handful of videos coming out that will be addressed to tips and suggestions, recommendations on how to get into racing, whether it be the cost or the type of race car, or to hear from professional racers, that type of thing. I think you'll find that of interest, so stay tuned for that, okay? That's it for now. Till next time. Ciao.